Hi everyone, this is Kogi from creativekogi.com, and we are now on week 4 of the Impi Aneesa Mandala Cal. We are still working on part 1, which is the mandala itself, but we are on the last rounds. So it's rounds 43 to 47. Just 5 rounds this week, but trust me, it will take you a while because this mandala has grown quite a lot since last week. I'm also going to show you how to get ready for next week, so please watch all the way to the end. Okay, so we're on round 43, and we had started with this pattern last week, so you'll see that pink that I've started with in a contrasting color. I'm going to start with a standing half double crochet. Now going to chain 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm now going to skip 8 stitches. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and in that 9th stitch I'm going to work a half double crochet. There we go. So I just want to double check 6, 7, 8, yes. And I also just want to show you what a stitch looks like. So just so that you won't have trouble counting, and I'm going to use my needle to just lift up a stitch. So that little loop is 1 stitch. So there you go, 1, and that's another stitch, and that's another. Okay, now whilst I do another round, I just want to explain to you, if you crochet very tightly, I would recommend that you chain 9 or 10 instead of a chain 8. But please still skip 8 stitches and work that half double crochet in the 9th stitch. You do not want this to be too tight. Alright, round 44, we've completed those chain 8s, and it does tend to curl a little bit, but don't panic, just flatten it out. Your starting point is that half double crochet from the previous round, and we are going to start with a standing single crochet in that stitch. So there we go, standing single crochet. Now here's where it gets a little bit complicated. You're either going to be working in front or behind that chain. So firstly in front of the chain, so holding the chain to the back, you will now work a half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. Now working behind the chain, which means you're holding the chain to the front, going to work a half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 2, 3, and 4. Do not be distracted by the little ant. That is what happens when you eat chocolate whilst you work. Now to continue, let's work in front of the chain. So holding the chain now to the back, I'm going to work a half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, and there that ant goes again, and then a single crochet in that half double crochet. So let's just do it one more time without the distraction of the ant. We're going to work in front of the chain, so holding the chain to the back, 1, 2 half double crochets. Now working behind the chain, which means you're holding the chain to the front, going to work half double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now hold the chain to the back, so you're working in front of the chain, a half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So there we go, and a single crochet into that half double crochet. So that's it. That's your pattern. You can see those loops created in the front with those chains, and in a contrasting color. It looks amazing. Okay, so we are now on run 45, and in the pattern I tell you not to fasten off on run 44. And what do? I fastened off, and because I've used the invisible join, it is going to be difficult for me to open it up. So I'm starting with a standing half double crochet, but you will start with a chain 2 in the same color. So please do as I say and don't do as I do. So there you go, a standing half double crochet for me, a chain 2 for you, and one half double crochet in every stitch around. And we are now completing that little pattern. So I wanted you to keep the color consistent. There you go, you see? And that's it, an easy round, and I'll see you on the next round. Round 46, we are almost at the end. So let me just show you quickly where we've come from. This is the new beginnings kit with all those pretty feminine shades. And yeah, so round 46, we're going to start with a standing half double crochet in any stitch and chain 1, skip the next stitch, and a half double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, half double crochet in the next stitch, and that's all there is to this round. Yeah, I can't believe just one more round to go and we're at the end. So there you have it. See you on the last round. Okay, so there we have it. Kind of a bittersweet moment because this is now the absolute last round of the mandala. We're on round 47, and we're going to start this round in that skip stitch from the previous round. So not in that chain 1 space, but actually in the stitch. So you're going to work behind the chain 1, and you are going to start with a standing double crochet. So there you go, standing double crochet behind the chain 1 space, and now a front post half double crochet around the post of that half double crochet from the previous round. So there you go, double crochet behind the chain 1 space, and then a front post half double crochet around the next stitch. Okay, now working in the back of that chain space, a double crochet, and I'm just going to do a few more, and it just creates a pretty little pattern. So front post half double crochet, and then a double crochet behind the chain 1 space into that skip stitch. So there you have it. That's round 47. So for those of you who are not going to continue with the blanket and you are now going to call it a day with the mandala, I would recommend a very simple way to end off the mandala, which is the crab stitch. So essentially what you're going to do is work a single crochet in reverse. So see what I'm doing? I'm working to the right and not to the left. So it's a bit of an odd movement, but you do get used to it after a few stitches, and you're essentially working that single crochet in reverse. So you can see I'm quite awkward with this movement, but there you go, and it creates that nice sort of ridged effect. So yeah, if you want to end the mandala, I recommend the crab stitch ending. But if you want to continue, let's undo that. And yeah, I will then now chat to you a little bit on how to prepare for next week. Okay, so to prepare for next week, let me just show you the calculations. You must forgive me if I keep turning the paper around. I struggle to write straight. So let's draw that mandala. So there we go. There's our mandala with our 47 rounds. And we have 360 stitches in total. So there we go. Now, we will have 4 corners, so let's just mark that. So the beginning stitch of each of those corners is marked by these arrows. So that's 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 360 minus those 4 stitches is going to give us 356 stitches. Okay, so now we have to work out what the distribution of the stitches are in between those corner stitches. So it's 356 stitches divided by 4, which is going to give us 89 stitches. Okay, so there we go. We need 89 stitches in between each of those corner stitches. Okay, so that's it. It's just simple mathematics, nothing much to it. Now, what I'd like you to do in preparation for next week is to grab some stitch markers. I've got these really fancy ones from Monica McKenzie. She's awesome. And she gave me these pretty markers so they would look good in the video. But really, you can use whatever you have. Some of the little plastic markers would work just as well. Otherwise, you can use color thread or you could use even a paper clip, whatever you have. Okay, so that's all there is to it. And let's now mark that off on our actual mandala. So there we go. Let me bring that to you. Now, the starting point, it's really dependent on you. It's have a look to see what makes most sense to you. Okay, so to me, I'm going to look at those little waves that we created towards the end. So there we go. You could follow those A spokes if you want to try and create a starting point. I'm going to leave this completely up to you. It's totally up to you to be creative. So just to find a point to start with, I'm going to take that stitch that is aligned with that wave. And there you go. I'm going to now put my stitch marker on that stitch. So that's my first corner stitch. Now remember I said you need 89 stitches in between the corners. So you now start counting 89 stitches to where you will place your marker next. Now, I'm not going to count 89, but essentially you count 89 stitches and on that 90th stitch, you'll place your next marker. And so that's what I need you to do in preparation for your corners for next week. Just make sure your stitch counts are correct. And yeah, I will then see you next week. Oh, and before I go, some pictures that of your completed mandalas, if you've given me permission to share on social media. How gorgeous are these? And just to say, if you've enjoyed this journey with me thus far, please do click like or comment or subscribe. You can see I'm getting the lingo right now. Creative Kogi is not just about crochet. We've got some exciting things coming up, and if you want to stay informed, then please do subscribe to my channel. And yeah, that's it for now. See you next time. Goodbye.